So the article is from gold.com. Why ex-Chief star Njabulo Blom was snapped by Bafana Bafana coach. Njabulo Blom, this is now Hugo Bruce speaking. Njabulo Blom is not there at the moment because he sent us a message on Monday saying that he was injured on his shoulder and he couldn't come to camp. So we asked for a medical report, and until now we haven't received one. We only received another message 2 or 3 days later that he can't play, they can play. I don't think that is the right attitude or the right mindset for players to come into the national team with, and therefore I didn't select him. Yes, okay, but the only thing I'm always asking myself is, when I see players saying they like to be in Bafana Bafana, oh, it's an honor for me to play for the country. With such an attitude, I have my doubts that it's an honor to be with the national team. This is what Bruce had to say. Velile, unjani Pitwam?
Ngiyaphila kunjani mntakababa?
Ngiright, Velile, ngiright. Sesikhuluma ngama-neutral.
Ngiyabona vele sokhululekile so-recovering.
Mtshele, uyibona njani le ndaba kaNjabulo Blom no-Hugo Bruce and why he was left out? What do you think of that drama?
First of all, ngibulisa abafowethu nala ku-panel nakuma-comment laphayana. I think indaba kanje personally thina nathi siyathanda ukuyigxayekisa. uNjabulo Blom, he doesn't even deserve our airtime. He hasn't arrived. He hasn't arrived yet. If nguye mina personally, I think he's being ill-advised by what he's doing. Because if it's not the first time. And also, if I was him, I'll be worried if kusasana player njengabo Mukwena on his position. Le ayidlalayo. Nabo OX bakhona, and the guy who's playing in Europe who has been just in Kamala, who has been also Nabano Gumfaga Upros. There are so many players who are playing there. So Unjabulo no. It's just ukuthi naye uBruce uyivulele ngenkathi avumela uPesita to do the same thing and play on the same weekend. So if wayekela nje isaqala, it is bound to happen again, because you'll always be reminded, but okay, abanye bayekelwa, but thina ke if we have to do this now, we're going to be punished and party. Yeah, na personally, ukuthi ngamkhalela squad, no, he hasn't arrived. Even in the league that he's playing in, no, he hasn't. I deserve it. I mean, I won't. Angeke ngimkhalele futhi.
Do you think that?
Nalapha buya khona before ayaphesheya uyabona kusehlathini nje, so angeke.
But then, do you think that it's fair? Do you think that if fairness corner does it play into it? Njabulo Blom aside, is Hugo Bruceman always getting caught out by saying one thing but then doing the opposite thing the next time? Is that a problem?
He has contradicted himself since day one when he arrived here in SA. Because Makala, when he selected the national team, there were players like our selector which were younger, and the Mautiapega, which cost us a spot World Cup. That sport Ghana because said that sports, I'm still saying that sport was there for a taking. If Hugo Bruce selected the best players and not contradicting himself and said, I found about over 30, they're going to cost him. But at the end, if you look at that time, they were on song. Those were like our best players at that particular time. Was contradictors at that figure and he always like to say something and do another thing also at the same time. If you can stop just talking too much and try to, sometimes when you try to over-explain things, it's gonna be stuck. Yes, easy. We just need to be simple. Call the players, and that's it. You have called it your 23 men. This is the people that you believe in them. So I'm going to war with these guys. That's it. I gotta explain this thing about the
Okay. Ngizobuya. Malume Kutso, how are you, my brother?
I'm well, how are you, comrade?
I'm good, Commissar. Tell me, what do you think about this Njabulo Blom situation?
Yeah, he's a former comrade as well. I'm calling you comrade because Upo Bukhalila Ratam Zabalaza. It's a crowning because Zabalaza. And it's sad. I'm with Uvelile. Guys, you can't pitch yourself against people who are seasoned. Yeah, you can't even compare yourself to Pesita and say, but Pesita win. Aye. Even if it was equal, besides the fact that Hugo Bros says this is not the first time, even if it was the first time for Bloom, you can't. When you are not even a main feature in the team, you don't get regular call-ups, you are just there. But sometimes are short, and then you take it a star. No. Uplo must be called to order. His family must talk to him. Move for Lendo Yenzai. And as a bony, because last time you were in the national team and then no Dizala, I asked so but you know just the national team. You understand? So you can't compare him to our Pesita will have earned their stripes. I still remember Pacey playing his first game with the crowd calling for his name, Pacey. While he was hot at Sundowns, coming in from the bench. Abu Plum have not gone through that. So he must relax, man. And I'm seeing a trend, guys. Guys, relax, please. It's Chiefs fans who are complaining about the national team. Guys, please relax. Please, Larsing
Re tlogele but
toxic behavior. People are asking what has Hugo Bros done. Imagine. Your country was king, a laughing stock throughout the entire continent. But well, you have resources, but you don't even qualify. I mean, when we qualified, the Morocco coach, Harim Shapa, locally, his comment was, at least you qualified finally. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. Finally, Bafana is qualified. Just imagine. And you want to come here and have selective amnesia and pretend that this country was qualifying day in, day out. And then he's made us believe so much that we think we were in with a shout for that World Cup spot. That World Cup spot was never there to start with. When he took over from Munseki, it was never even part of the dream. And he made it a reality to a point where even as a country, when it's bad, né? When you lose by a previous penalty and then you want to protest, you want to write letters, because this is not normal. This would have never happened. You understand? And then I want to address another thing is that in as much as Umodi is always in the national team, Mobi rather, he doesn't really play that much. He plays in competitive games. He doesn't really play that much. He plays as a sub or as a makeshift left back. In competitive games, post World Cup qualification, that kind of game, attempt to qualify for the World Cup, Umobi has been coming off the bench for Amayama player. He hasn't been the main guy. So Reska so guys, Rezamo it's like say that Mutau is gonna be on the bench. The reason Mutau has not been playing is down to him.
but
He was injured for a very long time, just like Abole Pasa, just like Abo Saling is off form. Umutau has never been dropped by Hugo Bros. In fact, Hugo Bros is Umutau is one of his favorites. He even played him against France. Umutau actually red card. And King, the preferred player for Hugo Bros is Umurena. He loves Umurena, heart and soul. So guys, let's start more at least the when you're at work and then you bring personal problems, your boyfriend is kicking doors.
Retlisa the bad way.
Leave your issues with Chiefs there. For now,
Wait, Malube. So before we go too far, I want to take it back to that thing. Do the contradictions hurt to Hugo Bros?
there are
Because
no contradictions.
in as much as
I can stand on top of the mountain and say there are no contradictions whatsoever.
well, there's a team. There was the player that was chosen who did the exact same thing, who was never dropped.
Oplom has done it before. Upros explained this is not the first time. This is not the first time he's doing it again, and we're not even sure or what was the story. There might have been an agreement. There was also an agreement with Lyle Foster. There was also an agreement with several other players.
But on the face of it, he doesn't say that.
But you see now we want to push the envelope. But in actual fact, there is no contradiction. Hugo Bros is very straight. Even with Utemba Zwane, he was firm with he doesn't want him. It's not a contradiction, it's a change of heart to say, and he admitted and he said, I now understand South African. There's a difference between a contradiction where you say something right now and you do the opposite immediately, and a change of heart to say, actually, guys, I thought you were like Europeans where the young players can play and dun. However, I'm noticing it in this country, young players are maybe a step behind. So, as pushing Jesus into police now. There was no contradiction, if you ask me.
Oh, well, what about the placement of teams, the forms, the points away from Sundowns? There were the teams with players that are inside. He says a lot of things
No, that's
that
the thing.
if you go into it.
No, that's the thing. That remark was related to Chiefs. With the guy, Chiefs has been playing. How
Yeah.
how do you see Chiefs? Why have you not included a player with Chiefs? The response is Chiefs is no different from last season. Chiefs is X amount of points behind
Yes.
the Sundowns. It is not to say players that are X amount of points behind the Sundowns will not be included. No. It's an elaboration to say Chiefs. You know, when you're writing an essay, you include other things.
But don't you infer it when he's speaking about quality of player? Shouldn't you infer that, okay, I am not choosing X players because I believe they're not of this quality because they are this far away from this team. But then if you include other players who are maybe as far or further, is that not then maybe you should have just kept quiet at that point?
Like with
Are we
most
wrong?
things, no. Like with most things, if you want to misinterpret it, I can tell you now. You can
Aye, Malume Kutsa, it wasn't a misinterpretation.
No.
It's what he
It
said.
was. Mr. OT. Which Chiefs player deserved? And mina ngifuna ukubuza nina, if you're talking about the contradiction, which Chiefs player deserved to be in the national team when he said that?
There were players that had only played 2 games for Chiefs. Abom Simango had played 2. They had played for Bafana, weren't chosen because they'd only played 2 games for Chiefs. Abo, now, there's a lot of people.
Which Chiefs player deserved to play?
Simango, because he was inside. He was already inside. I could say the same about Lipasa. Lipasa has not played. Can I then say he shouldn't be chosen?
No. You see, now you're coming with something different. He was not saying you have not played. He was saying this guy.
You are not good enough to get inside your club team, but you are playing for Bafana, a club that you have not played for a month.
He has a criteria. He knows you are good enough.
You see, so then what's the good enough? Is it the points? Is it the team? What's the good enough?
You are not listening to me. He has
Yeah.
made it about the points. What he is saying, he was saying Chiefs players. He was basically saying, I will not include Mr. OT.
Yeah, then say that. Then say that.
He has joined the Chiefs and he has not improved the Chiefs. The
Okay.
Chiefs remains the same even with Mr. OT. So
For 2 games.
if we're assessing with Mr. OT, he's not a big king, a big influence on his Chiefs, and therefore he probably won't be a big influence.
And that's why I'm asking you, there's players that never got to play. They're not playing for their teams. They're not good enough to be influencers at that current time, yet they are chosen. So is that not a contradiction, or is it based on the team?
If we're having an honest one, has Umsimango ever featured for Hugo Bros?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're making it You're making it a Chiefs conversation. I'm saying if a national team coach says one thing about one team and does something different for another one, should he have said that thing out loud? That's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing even for Chiefs players. But if you come out and you say a criteria, you didn't have to say it. You know how I feel about Bruce. You get me? And even now, Pesitau did the same thing. I don't remember there being a big outcry or things said. Now Uplom does the thing. Now he's saying it out loud. So wouldn't it be a stronger case to say, you know what, guys, anybody who does it, I am going to treat you all the same. Pesitau did it, whether it's first time, second time, whatever. As national team coach, I can't punish you for a thing when I include somebody else for the same thing.
No, and here's the thing, Mr. T. You've made me lose my train of thought. These questions, these responses from Hugo Bros come off the back of OT saying, "Why do I not see any Kaizer Chiefs players?"
No, it's got not me. You've never heard me say that. You've never heard me say that.
Not you, Mr. OT. A journalist from the floor asking him, "I don't see any Chiefs players. What's the cause?" It's never necessarily people were saying, this is the Chiefs and or this is and even with Unjabulo Plum last time when he was like he's been on and off, it's direct questions that he responds to directly, and he doesn't mince his words. It was, where is Uplom? We don't see him in the national team. I've excluded him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's fair. And right now, like I said, last time, Umutao was supposed to be in it. Let me give you an example. Umutao was supposed to be called up. He was injured for a very long time. The report was given to Bafana which he was injured. And then against Chiefs, uppercut Debra, he appears in the lineup. He even scores. He Bros run around against him. No. The next player, Chambers one, was injured, but he was back in. Ebohomukwen, I think, was also injured, but he was back playing for his team. When it's necessary, he's approachable. No.
Why is it necessary in one case? Because he chooses cases.
I'm explaining exactly. When it's necessary, ring and time. His door is always open. With Antonam, I need to coach. But now when you start taking him for a fool, when you start lying to him with and he knows without Kawategang, and then when he says and then you decide to say no, okay, sharp, then Lapo he's gonna expose, because now you're not working with him. Instead of saying, hey, timer.
How do we know that happened with the other players?
I've seen it.
With these ones that were out now, with Pesitao, with all the people. I don't want to make, that's why I want to stick to his words, because my problem with Bruce is that your words take you down a road. Rather, don't say the words.
The one I know which he asked for his space was Ulail Foster. I think,
No. I'm not saying it's not happening, Malume Kuto. My question is...
I thought you asked, how do we know? So
that's one. The other ones, we don't know again. So I can only go with what he said. So what he said was the Blom situation. So when you look at it at face value outside, if he doesn't address it in full, when he says these things, is Blom did whatever he did, he's not chosen. Percy did whatever he did, played the same weekend. He's not addressed, he's not coming out in the media, he's not doing all the stuff, he's chosen. So to outside, if we going just by what he said, it looks as though, but my guy, maybe he should, when he says these things, maybe he should come out in full and say, yeah, I know you guys, when I say this, might come out and say, Tau, this is what happened in Tau's case. You might come out and say, but my problem with Bruce is when you say half things, then you can be questioned on the half thing you said. Same as the Chiefs thing. I'm not saying because it's Chiefs. I'm saying that if you say the criteria for Chiefs is one, then I can, on the face of it, say, either I say, oh, is the criteria different for other teams? Or I say, I look at you and I say, oh, but then you've chosen other players that are in the exact same situation. Is it now because of the team or this? So rather say the thing in full or don't say anything at all, because now the questions we are asking unfortunately can't be answered because he didn't address them. You get me?
Mr. OT, Utau is our CR7. He's our Lionel Messi.
Is that a right thing to do?
And hear me out. Before there's some Zabalas approving in the comments. So go to the next guy.
Oh no, I'm just saying, this is why I have a problem with the Bruce. It's not even about his coaching or anything. It's like, my guy, some things you choose, I've always said this, you choose for whatever you want to choose. If you don't like Chiefs, if you like Kukune, if you really like Mobi over somebody else, if you really love, it's up to you. My issue with him is the moment you take it public, and you say a half thing, you're going to be dragged because of the half thing. Rather, select your players. Remember when I told you guys, me, I'd dance. I'd get here and I'd tell you guys, hi guys, I feel as though these are the best players to represent this team at this time. I'm not to say that any other player is not good enough to get into this team, but as and when we need them to come in and we see fit for them to come in, we will choose them. To say good enough and whatnot, hey guys, To, let me bring you in. What do you think about, how are you doing?
I'm very well, and welcome to the entire panel. Hey, bethubile ngale ngoma enidlamini finally sesiphumulile.
Tell me, Mto, hey, mina ngifuna ukuzingela. Tell me, Mto, what do you think about this Blom situation?
You know what? I agree with what the panelists have been saying. First of all, he pointed it out, and even Aput Kuto also mentioned it. I mean, Blom has been ill-advised, and surprisingly, he's playing for a team that is coached by an ex-Bafana international, Bradley Canel. So, I mean, he should also be patriotic and not advise the boy to do such things. I mean, so for me, Blom hasn't even established himself as a Bafana starter. Yeah, so he can't now be doing such things. I mean, I don't think he even has about 10 caps. And so you compare Blom no Tau. Utau is almost chasing down a record like a Penny McCarthy. That's how important he is for Bafana Bafana. How important is Blom for Bafana Bafana? You see, as a coach, there's a core group that I trust. And what if Tau is one of those players that I trust? So you can't compare Blom and Tau for
But
that
then if
reason,
Blom,
not because
if Tau lets me down, so in that case, I know he's important, but he's let me down. So him saying
I
I'm not
agree
coming
that-
and I'm playing, are we setting the precedent then that if you're important, what if he
Yeah,
drops
but
us
Blom-
in another game?
Yeah, but Blom is not down. That's the thing. That's the thing. Blom is not down. So Blom still needs to establish himself as a Bafana player. I'm not justifying my actions like a Pesitao and all of that. It's not right, but also, I mean, I can't drop Tao when I know I need him. So for me, that's the biggest difference between the two. So, and again, with the issue of Umobi, I say a lot of people don't understand why he keeps on picking Umobi. Umobi can play across the defense. Sometimes he plays as a left back, sometimes he plays as a right. He's versatile. He likes Mobi because of that. It doesn't mean Gucci Mobi is the best defender over Umuta or anything like that. He has a core group of players that he trusts. I mean, look at Ulipasa. Lipasa did the business for him against Eli. So he's bound to trust him more. So there are those players that he trusts more, Kulu and all of those. I mean, for me, if I was to take a defender from his passport, it would have been that kid who Ocon instead of Kulu. I would have given, but unfortunately, because again, these are not friendlies, by the way. They are not friendlies. They are World Cup qualifiers. So you want to have your core group of players that you trust. So I think that's the logic behind how he selected his team. So, but again, this issue about Blom, I don't think it should be. Blom has been ill-advised. Let's start there. Now, Blom has caused this mess. Whether Bruce
Oh no, I'm not saying
decided
he's right. Ooh, hey, no, don't take me
go
wrong.
public about this. The fact of the matter is that the Blom was supposed to also act right. I mean, you can't just claim an injury especially given that these are World Cup qualifiers and important games. You're telling the coach, you know what, you've got other important things over Ibafana Bafana. So I won't be surprised if Blom doesn't even make the AFCON squad from now. So I mean, he hasn't even established himself. He was supposed to fight for his spot, Ibafana Bafana. So
How do you feel about Hugo Bruce and talking?
Hey guys, you see, for me, I'll defend Hugo Bruce here and there. I feel like he's a realist, man. We're not used to a coach who's a realist, who's gonna say things the way they are. I mean, if his standard PSL is not up to what he knows, it's really facts, guys. It's not attacking us. It's not, for the first time I heard Uma Puti Kenyeza was the first coach to actually try and defend the logic Yaga Bruce, where he's coming from. I mean, all of the other coaches, they don't really talk so nicely about the Bruce and all of that. And I mean, this guy has won the AFCON in Cameroon, so he knows something about winning. So we need to really trust him.
I'm seeing people in the comments. Is it transparency when I have to come back next week and apologize? Is it transparency when I say something and then there's backlash and then tomorrow, all of a sudden I've changed my mind. All of a sudden, certain players are getting into the team again. All of a sudden, it's not necessarily the truth that I'm worried about. My problem with Bruce is that it's half and then the rest is left up to your view, how you see the thing. And that's my issue with the Bruce. Rather, don't say it or address it in full. You get what I mean? Because he said the thing about the Kaizer Chiefs, for example. I'm not picking Kaizer, Country went on fire, or not country. Chiefs fans went up and did whatever. Following week, he's got Chiefs people inside. Now, what did the transparency gain there if now you've gone and done the thing that you had said you're not going to do? You get what I mean? That's my issue. We can speak about the truth. We can speak about all that stuff. My problem is rather than don't say it. Because when you say the half thing, you'll be asked questions that are then going to put you in a bad situation. And now in other extreme cases, you have to do the opposite of what you said you're going to do. So now I even question you. How deep is your transparency if you're just going to flop the next day? You get me?
No, but to be fair, you know what? I think every coach that is successful or that is trying to do something great has a little bit of arrogance in them, and I feel like Bruce is no different. He has that arrogance, so that's why he's made such mistakes, like you're pointing out. But for me, I don't think he's. I mean, you know what? He walks the talk. I mean, even I heard someone talking about us not qualifying for the World Cup. We know what happened with that whole Ghana incident. So it was not his doing. In fact, even we were supposed to win 2-0 and we would have faced Nigeria in the playoffs had we won 2-0 at home. So that was beyond his control. So we can, but for me, ever since he took over, I've seen an improvement over Ibafana Bafana, and I don't think I can judge him harshly over how he talks and all of that, because I
think it takes away from it. That's why I'm saying this. I think it takes away from, instead of talking about Hugo Bruce's great job with Bafana Bafana, we're talking about Chiefs players, we're talking about this and that. That's my issue with what's happening with Hugo Bruce. It's not even that he's wrong about the things. I see people here in the comments saying he's accepting mistakes. Okay, I say Chiefs players can't play.
It's arrogance.
Arrogance. You get me? Because say Chiefs players can't play. You guys have me. I select Chiefs players and don't play them. So I've selected them just to keep you quiet. That's not me, except okay, let me, for time's sake, let me bring in Prachop. Prachop, how are you, Prachop? No, Kisha, tell me, what do you think about this situation with the Plum?
My brother, Bloma menyana jo, cause gala we two di nga ira, la mathomo ba mmilitse ba retla mo squatting, a ira dilo tsae, le no o dira hape. So I menyana. Anyway, I say player e lo re mo hare mo la mo meeting, like we are suffering, or is an established player mo re there no Bloma hating, then regas dala I menyana da lady. Go America, unana gar maybe athala go America, o thala go Europe or something, or maybe this time even na re mono lo mon. So ataba ya Blomo me bra re tsenyetsa nako me bra na santse re concentrate mo batho ba re na le bona no mo squatting. And like he's been ill advised because agro coach ke khanele ka ntlile. So kana na tsa mmotso re me bra ke na di khepetse kana ke tlalla squad. I've never said no to squad ore ka tla ka metai lape me para ba o bitsa ba re eta Monday wena o rena ke hobetse bara team ya wa romela medical report I really anything, then heavy kala boraro wena o send the message again or no ke available. So who's fooling who? You want to remember. So hi menyana mfanula since I go America o bona gare maybe na o better or something. So look AFCON armunyaki go starting from no one understand armunyaki ha ka tla stadium ba motse am ro mo bua rena because of our respect rena and I respect le batho ba go habo I respect the family high one sorry. So ha menyana ke ranya go dlala a dlala go state da bo dira bjang na re sharp
Okay, okay.
straight to the point go ra dilo se reka re lo ya kwa
Yeah.
le kwa ana teiti re bolela ntho straight one tshwara
Yeah.
because that's how we feel wa re tella ha menyana
Is it outside of Oblom? Do you think that Percy being more important should allow him to have those privileges?
so bana taba pace me bra taba pace le Hugo Bros le na a e tlhalosa pila o no re dimene a re a ka se kgone tla go squad because of family issues wa bona re e bjang so arna e diba intel mo lo re ka just re ka no pace will be 1 2 3 1 2 3 but ya bloom o itse o hobetse one good is what if pace go bona le mmereko me ba nyo go tlhaba eng or what or maybe I'm or what Aritz once what
Maru Zadile 2 days, 3 days later. What Dadile for Al Ali?
yeah but wa bona re yeah and ya pace ka mokhomo me bra bona pace ke sta sa rena khalantsa le more
That's what you go should he get special privileges because he's star. According to what we know, maybe his situation is different.
Privilege wa ena me bra I mean na understand and wa bona le at least a re botsa maka a re ena o hobetse eng at least o re ka patla e serious e lo re wa utlwa lo ena re ha ena le makanyana mara and anyway in differently games more it was not a consequence games say so or mitsa no
Okay, that's why I want a conversation and I keep ibe Blom. I just wanted to know that if one player does something and another player does something and it's addressed publicly, now I don't have a problem with whatever Coach Bruce is doing. He can choose them. My issue with Bruce, and I go back to it, is blela half story in the moment. Atsoriki journalist. And then when it's time now, Blom, remember Blom. The only reason why I think Blom is in, even Bamukhetile, is because if you remember a few months ago, we'd say, guys, Blom is not good enough, he's not playing at a level, he's not doing what, he's not doing what. But Baba interview Blom. Remember I asked you guys back then, Kare. Now Blom wakes up in the morning that side, people are coming to him and saying, your national team coach says he's not good enough. Now I must defend myself. Chigi, a few weeks later, same coach is calling me to come and go play. So is it because I'm good enough or is it because pressure? You get what I mean? So maybe not to say it's right, maybe I act a different way because now I see you in a different light now. Same as the Chiefs players, for example. Last week I was not good enough. You came out and you said it straight. Following week, you apologized me. Next week, I'm in the squad again. One Kenya, whatever, sharp. Following week, I'm not good enough again. So then now, is this transparency? Is this now him caving? Does he believe? The question. That's why whenever I speak about Bruce, I always say, rather, my guy, most coaches dance. They dance. Why? Because you don't want to deal with now all of a sudden. You get me? That's my problem. It's not even or he's wrong or right. That's not my issue here.
Yeah, what's with alam buruagane? Taba Hugo Bruce ne follow-up ha ke one una le elena o bolela thata manish. And sometimes over too transparent. Re go botse mabara follow-up ya dimene engwe. Kore the country arena ne ba no go thusetsa di playera tse santsa tlaleng ka tsona. Ene bona dimene wa ba itse batho ba hae, you understand? Wa itse a course kwate sa hae. Remember at that time, Nagola Tomagola Leona Tabaya Chiefs, then the media and the country, Bona, Then the next, I think it was the next international games. I'd say the player and 3-4 Chiefs. I was squat. I mean, the guy on a lot of why Sanzerna country arena. I mean, the Dimena Harnam player tsa Chiefs
It's because
a di tla le monate.
Wabua. It's because Wabua.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
O bolela thata. Ba santse di male. Wa fruta because le rena ra itse le wena wa itse as a Chiefs fan or no ha ona le player e one e deservang go tla go squad.
Yeah.
Wa ngutsa kra. So but problem ena eish o wrong ka se go bona go betse then motho o tlhaba gape on the wood then batho ka mo ba jewa o ngutsa kra ka mo wena wa fafatla. So backlash it was because of the other camp e mo paining wa tsara lo ena ba sa ba phuka but yena ke tlo botsana there he's a good coach, he has a winning mentality, una le batho ba hae ba itse no these people they're performing week in week out or even if they're not performing but for yena ba mo performing
Yeah.
and I mean go squad enjo I mean let's be honest arena so much players ba lo ba dlala go Europe overseas
Yes. Or consistent players.
Or consistent players. But I give example. Now, Egypt, now let's say AFCON, like back to back. The core of the squad nearly Al Ahly. Maybe you find that more start 11 or 8 players or 7 players, maybe 3 Nyana Zamalek. They're still doing it even now. Okra maybe 5 players from Al Ahly, 3 players from Zamalek, maybe 2 Nyana Busala, mama. That was when Bakono winner AFCON. So then I believe Hugo Bruce and Toirang, okay, get Sundowns, but he must take majority players to go Sundowns because of they're the ones Babatalang the consequential games. Babatalang the games are a big stage, Batalamo Africa. If you just take the core Yavona, maybe it was the starting 11 or local 7-6 Yavona, then Wadaga 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it will work. But the Arsenal demand under pressure, Montolore, I think. The men speak about Valore, they deserve to be there.
What was the problem? Is because of his words. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Ana bile mo bona mola na gola a bolela na ke mo file chance ka no di mene maybe ha itse twaika wa ngudisa graba di mene maybe ha moni pila motho I mean me bra a o tsebi ya mushishi me bra santse re complain based on form okay go Chiefs it was a different thing na complain ka bona but they were not performing.
There was no need to speak about
it was
them.
Just a halabublai. Yeah, but what na perform that's the difference ke nya go tlhalosana wa rena o mmoletse mara wa rena a perform le jale wa ntsora greba wa rena na ba sa perform wa ngreba but still because of lena ke re le ba bantši wa gudisa le no mo mmile
na tsantsa tolerance gore team ya rena is bad.
No, let's
we know
le ka se go stadium mo re le ka se support wa fara fada
but it's fine. I want to ask you about, I wanted this conversation to go a different way. The conversation I wanted to have was, why is there, it feels as though there's no pride in the national team, whether it comes from fans, whether it comes from players. You see, Abo Plom Nabo, they can disrespect the team and do things like that. Why? What are we missing, La Babu national team?
Ukuphendula lowo mbuzo lowo Bafo, I have to take it back to remember the issue that you've addressed previously ukuthi why it seems like Banyana we don't acknowledge their performance and the work that they are doing currently and sasho ngobuningi bethu Banyana even nayo suffer, it's just suffering nje with the consequences motherboard because if you look at it even now, I don't even know ukuthi under 23 isasekhona na because if under 23 isasekhona it was fully functioning nayo, that's where akumele aboshabalala aboratomo nabozwane badlale laphayana as part of under 23 squad that were going to be promoted to the senior team. But also nakhona it depends with players player and the coach and the system that is playing.
Yeah.
Now you see, I'm a supporter man, they are crying about good everyone like just getting caps like noma kanjani, just giving out caps. Surely, uzwabanika ama cap noma kanjani, especially if he still doesn't take COSAFA cap seriously. Because as I've said before, I don't even know what's the arrangement of him not coaching that squad. Say,
Yeah.
because that's Bafana. When they call it this, they say Bafana. But basically, you come. That's Bafana, and that's the perfect opportunity to check even my play. Because if you look also, there's another contenders for the right position. If you look at the guy for a right back, especially the guy captain here, Stellenbosch, it's marvelous to watch on that position on right back. But if tournaments, young about Kosafa, we don't use them to see other players, especially those one that are based locally, then we're gonna miss certain opportunity to get the structure correct. We have to agree, Uti. Coach has his own favorite players and his own system. But on his own system also now he need to know have a core player. We know would have a core player, especially like overseas or like like Africa, Jengabota. We know okay, those are his core players. And laba abanye, you have to fit them into the system kancane so they can even bajwayele system yakhe le afuna ukuyi-implementa yena kwakhe. But also nalapho results are important. The good thing would at least we have qualified. But we've been asking ourselves so much questions. Okay, how did you qualify it? If we have to be honest, yes, sometimes we win tend to blindside us because like on this stage we win 14. It's about qualifying, which now we've qualified for AFCON. Now we are going for a more qualification World Cup. We mustn't let that thing your qualifier to blind us, but we have to look at it. How did you qualify it? The first game of qualifier for AFCON, Morocco nearly buried us. Just buried us. Morocco. We have to agree that we were not even a match there. You see, so when they come here for the game that we've won, they've already qualified. But even Nati, the game that we played, the team say qualified. We won, but we were not so convincing. We were not even convincing against Liberia, There are certain things that you have to take into consideration. Yes, we win, but now you look at okay, we never moving forward in a long term. Am I going to beat like the best team? Let's say like in a tournament. Angeke sibe abaprofit kodwa sizobona ekhapini but mina kwamanje personally I'm not yet convinced that we are there.
Okay.
Yes, we're gonna go there. We will let Vele ayikho into You have to choose his players, whether ukhetha uMobi or if we ukhetha uBryce Vuma njengoba yenza makafika amfake epalini noma angadlala ethimini yakhe. So
Yeah.
but siyazi ukuthi it's up to him. Let's allow him to do his job because into emnandi about umuntu okhuluma kakhulu njengaye. You know, if you talk too much and you say the big ways than you have to back up that with performance. And if awukwenzi lokho, you're gonna be in trouble because people they're going to ask you questions and ezinye zazo angeke ube neyimpendulo for zona.
Okay, no, Velile, thank you so much. Let me go to
Ngiyabonga mtaka baba ne.
Sure. Prachop, over here, Hugo Bruce says, I don't think it's the right attitude or the right mindset for players to come to the national team, and therefore I didn't select him. Yes, okay, but the only thing I will always ask myself, when I see players saying they like to be in Bafana, they say, oh, it's an honor for me to play for my country. With such an attitude, I have my doubts that it's an honor to be with the national team. Why is it that Bafana is at that place where he's questioning whether players have the correct attitude? And yes, I know he's speaking about Uplom in this case, but what is it about national team or I sana that thing?
Yeah, the players are in, because of if you look at other players, I think it's only vibes. No, now go squatting and all that. Abasa like Reina the public, as I say, they're disrespecting us. You can see the attitude to Zabu Blomu, Lobo Mama. It's like they don't see any need for playing for us. So I mean, Hugo Bruce all right. If you don't show the right attitude, you're the national squad. Then why should you automatically squad more than just in JFL and not add any value? So our national squad need a coach and a character, and I believe Bruce on a character better than those who never because you can see on stamp authority why one sort is an honor. And I think then you're part of Bafana Chelete Basa Izuba Iran. I say, what's Hugo Brazil? I think it was, I don't know now, but yesterday, yes, they used to play for the national team and not get anything. Remember that time. It was an honor and still they were winning. But the time Batoma the bonuses and they started Batoma lose at that day, but they win at that match.
Yeah.
But more if you look at it, it's about money. They know whether I lose or I win, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna get that, then million So it's not about the honor per se. But the believer, the culture right now, the people most squatting, they deserve to be there.
Okay.
Oh, as ne go dlala squad sa rena me bra a re sembole mo tloela rena di player tse ntšhi better re go polokwane seat o re go kae and you're not gonna force yourself or ne na ke nyako dlala squad while o sa perform go team ya hao no why why sentse o tsele o ra o perform go team ya hao
Ke ba bole pasa.
ya bona le pasa tse o itse me bra di deng e bjang it's like maybe it's like it's like mosadi o nna le ena sebaka ne for 10 years ne a le loyal mo wena a leng wa mfrutana then o tle motho ka mo le saiteng o mongwe le re wa mmona re di ke nto pila phala mosadi ya ka eng but I want that loyalty ya re di ausi o tla ntshabela anytime a o itse so o na le that thing re le pasa la ka sdala ira mar o tlo mo loela mo korela wa
Okay, no. Ai, ke leboga Prachop, ke leboga. Re ke lleva bang ko Benelink Prachop.
That's so.
Thank you. Kumo, how are you, my brother?
Oh, when I get happy, when I was time 225 million, only history maker.
Hey, Ghana. Hey,
Did well.
Mplele, na ke sharp. Porque batla bua ka taba ya Hugo Bruce. What do you think about this thing ya Blom? And then also it seems like man, it's a divisive topic.
No man, first of all, Santi no one is bigger than Bafana, including Percy Town. If he decides he's gonna be a diva, like we can transition the hungrier players, like our country has so many superstars. Some are Shingiban scouted or whatever, or have a chance to prove themselves. Mara, no one is bigger than the badge out the country or the squad. And this guy Blom, it's unfortunate look right now because we are very emotional as fans. Now you're gonna start taking him based on his looks or whatever, clubs and whatnot. Talent RSI won because of the attitude era. If he doesn't wanna play, it's fine. But then bottom replace and if we're in according to Bruce, Hapelena Baragemang Bruce Lena reliable, so you don't know what the situation really is. So but if that's the case, I mean, like, you can even get Bo Ronaldo as like you know who Portugal like can do it for Ronaldo. There are better players now. But Ronaldo, he can humble himself and apologize. Go dressing room. I really flop. A couple of twirl, then everyone go. I want on sharp. And but the other thing, come moral, come dressing room. If it was allowed, horrible pace, little blom, bayra come coveranga thing, then what's gonna stop? Because arguably Tembazwani is actually a bigger star in my eyes than Pesita because of the team doesn't play. So if Tembazwani don't start having attitudes, what's gonna happen to the morale? But okay, this guy now is serious, he's strict, he's lenient. So what am I divas? Then everyone overtreat the equality. That's what I think about this whole situation.
Should these things be handled publicly? Should he be dancing? Should he be speaking the truth as people are saying? Or how should he handle these things outside?
Well, the truth is relative. if you're gonna say something nice about my Timbers one, I'm gonna agree with you. But if you say something bad about him, I wouldn't agree with you. Like obviously we've established to her he tried to be this stand firm guy. Fine, he can be but consistent guy on. But this guy is a flip flopper, and also I don't think he's got proper media training. I want and some things getting internal battles. I want because you know what soccer players ba bjang wa bona for example ka Ten Hag, I don't believe that's how you should address things marwa dira, and also ya mo kawata ka player performances wa bona the same thing iralanga Hugo bro. Some things are just internal. If you just gonna bled whatever you think out on public platform, it's great for us as fans, it's great for journalists because it's good for ratings. Marekawata the players are, and players can turn on you and you lose your job. So he shouldn't his dirty laundry in public. Just he needs to find a way to spin everything and protect tongue and also protects the fan. Then Otlangwala his talent book is not retire. But until then are good at the dressing room.
Okay. CJ, welcome back. You wanted to address something.
Yes, man. I think we need to learn not to listen to Hugo Boss alone. We need to go, and it's nice that St. Louis they've got a podcast where we can go and listen to the other side of the story. The first time this thing happened is that St. Louis took Blom to Canada to go and live in the snow so that he's able to adjust his body to play in the snow. Unfortunately, while he was there, he had flu, which because of COVID regulations, they had to isolate him. And they told Hugo Boss this thing, that listen, he's fine, but he's a bit fluish because we took him to the snow so that he can be able to play in the snow, because in the MLS, we don't stop him because of snow. We wanted him to adapt to play in the snow, in particular in turf, because some of the grounds in America, they don't have grass, they've got turf. He's never played in a turf field in his life. So you have taken him to Canada to go and adjust him. So he is there, and we don't want to bring him back until he's sorted and his body is going to adjust to the cold weather. Hugo Boss wanted him to South Africa, and there was a clash between St. Louis and Safa because of that. That was the first time he could not make it. To such an extent that if you follow him, that time he missed about 3 games for St. Louis. In this case, in this current case, Kaizer Chiefs wanted to approach St. Louis to bring Blom back because they lost the qualifying when they combined the 2 conferences to play for the playoffs. St. Louis lost the match, and now they are out of the title race. So they won't be playing any games up until next year. So Chiefs approached St. Louis to get Blom back to come and play on a loan with Kaizer Chiefs. And St. Louis stayed to Kaizer Chiefs. What more stayed to Kaizer Chiefs? Unfortunately, Blom is in a program. They want to get him to play in the EPL in England. So he's going there to play, to try to get a team to play there up until the window period is there. Meaning St. Louis comes back to Hugo Boss and says, we realize that when you bring him Blom, you don't play him anyway. He stays there, he comes all the way to South Africa, and you don't play him. You've got 2 friendly matches that will occur while Blom is in England. Can he miss these 2 games? These 2 friendly games, because we part and parcel of this particular program. Instead of Hugo Boss agreeing, he keeps quiet. And the next thing he says, he wants the boy to come and play. And they tell him, no, he's in England. And instead of saying the truth, he comes on media and say, Hugo Blom is faking an injury. Total nonsense. Total nonsense. Now you're going to find the sporting director of St. Louis addressing this issue all the way from America, because he says, we will never, ever, ever prohibit any of our players to go and play for the national team, because having players that are playing for their country boosts the profile of the team. It boosts the profile of the team. We will never say he can't go and play. But seemingly there's a bit of a problem between how St. Louis view Blom in terms of the quality of star that he is, and South Africa as well.
Okay. Guys, but back to the point I was making. You see words. Media training, guys. Media training is important. I know we love saying the straight talkers and whatever. But now look, Now it's gone. The St. Louis. It's come back here. This one is a story. That one is a story. When you could have just kept, hey, you could have just danced past the question and lived his life, and they dealt with
And
these
left
things
it
behind
alone.
closed doors. You get what I mean? That's my issue
Yes.
to Bruce. I'm not even saying he's wrong, he's right, he's this, he's that. Guys, some things you don't say,
I
or
mean,
some, you know.
why would a player being called for the national team say that no, I've got an injury, I don't want to come?
Even if he did, you see how much of a huge thing this becomes when he could have danced around the question. Safa, him, the team, they handle it. Every time he's spoken out publicly, it's become an issue. Last time he said something, PSL coaches came out and said, "Hi, you've never spoken to us about this thing." Last time he said something else, Kaizer chief does this. Last time, like every time he says something, it goes off in the country, and we're no longer speaking about Ibafana Bafana. And then when other people come out with their sides of the stories, now we're sitting into it's just a mess for no reason, guys. There's no reason for any of this. There's a reason why people dance. Hey, this one was doing this. Well, I don't know about that, but it's like this and like this. Hey, it's guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even saying he's right, he's wrong. I think we've chosen that he's right. I'm just like, guys, some things are not worth it. Let me bring in Polani quickly. Polani, what do you think about this Blom issue?
Uthi kuhamba kanjani mfethu?
Ngiright, Brian.
Yeah, sharp. Yabo information efika nothing manje has totally changed my viewing on this, my perspective on this. I think Buze, usinje uyi-journalist.
Mama, I just love St. Louis. I follow Blom. I follow Blom. I think it's a so I listen to that podcast all the
All
time.
right. Thanks for the information, my guy. Okunye futhi first, I think usinje mayakwazi ukuthi athole information engaka mfethu. In a short space of time. I think our journalists are letting us down because let's ngabe siyazazi ngabe ngabe sikhuluma even nangayo le topic le.
Bafuni headline.
Yeah,
That's all they want.
Shout out CJ, shout out. Because i-perspective yami bithi actually bengadingile ukungena namhlanje yabo. So i-point lami befuna ukuthi if we're going to compare i-case kaTau neyaBlom, as comparison nje bese iy'tori ey'fanayo because isitori siphuma sithi uBlom uqamba amanga whereas uPercy Tau make ilokhuzane request. So awukwazi ukucomparisha lawo ama-cases lawo yabo because uma ngathi mina ngithi ngiyagula and then you ask for i-medical reports uma ngasayilethi it's obvious ukuthi bengiqamba amanga yabo whereas uTau made a request wacela during the friendly game. I'm not sure if this week ama-qualifiers or is still ama-friendly games. I-point yami nje ekade ngifuna ukuyibeka ibe kanjalo mfethu. Well then usenje waqhamuka ne-information kade singayazi mfethu. So now I get ukuthi lo baba official number ngimthandi mfethu. From the first place was uHugo Bruce ukuthi why aqamba amanga a-national coach mfethu asiqambela amanga hayi mfethu hayi.
I don't even know Gutamang or anything. My only problem is that don't talk out loud when they are baiting you. They've been baiting him ever since Afiga in the country. And every time Magafiga, I'm bait, it becomes a big thing. Asagwas no guti bafana dalanjan.
And they know which button to press first. I know I press
I know. It's a fauchero. Hey guys, you see, but it's fine. We'll have the other conversation later. Jero, how are you?
I'm okay, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. How do you feel about this situation with Tunjabulo Plom?
This thing. My problem is this has been happening for a long time, since the days of Abo Benny McCarthy and Abo Quinton Fortune. We've always had issues like this when it comes to even African players. We normally see in the EPL when it's time for them to go and play AFCON, there's always this news coming out. Is this player gonna go? So it's a European mentality towards Africans. You understand? So the problem is now we don't have the full story on both sides. I hear Sinjay saying there was a podcast when St. Louis, I think director came out and spoke about the details, but we don't know the full story. He might that director might be lying, or he might be telling his side of the story. But for me, now we all know which we've had this problem for a long time, and to have a coach or like Hugo Bruce, I applaud him.
Okay.
For things to be sorted out, we need everything to be aired out in public. If it's dirty laundry, let it be, so we'll be able to fix things. This thing of being politically correct and trying to dodge questions, it's not on.
But isn't it unfair? Is it his place? Is it his place to speak about it? Because my problem is, you speak your truth. Great, he's spoken his truth. People believe him. Whether they don't believe him, they believe him. Whatever happens, ne? Now you've dragged me into it. So let's say you're speaking about me, right? Now you've dragged me into it. So now when I get asked questions, we saw it with some of the players. Now as a player, I have to choose whether I defend myself or whether I hide it. And it can get ugly. My issue with Hugo Bruce is, say your truth, né? But make sure, or let me say it like this, make sure that you have squared it off with the other person. You get me? Make sure. Because now, when he finished speaking about the Chiefs the first time, he was like, no, I'm going to have breakfast with Umtseki. You get what I mean? Nabe we kulmile nomtseki. You get what I mean? We kulmile and you had this conversation and you guys believe each other and whatever, and then you can come out and say it. But every time he says something, it feels as though 700 people pop up and they say, no, but it's not like that. It just becomes messy for no reason. I understand being truthful and transparent and all of that stuff, but you can't say transparency from one side, Pela, because some people, maybe they never watch a podcast that Tusinja speaking about. You get what I mean? So now uplom ksasa, let's say it's true or whatever. Uplom ksasa. Now everybody's looking at him and saying, yeah, we're not plom unje. You get what I mean? Meanwhile, maybe the story was different. But over and above that, deal with the issues behind closed doors, guys. Deal with them behind closed doors. There's no need. You get me? Because it becomes a whole different situation. You see, Nazi, we know half things and we're already saying, but Plum is not good enough. Yeah, Plum is not this. Oh, maybe story has been jalo. You get me?
But Mina, I've noticed there's a trend. Why is Hugo Bruce always the bad guy, or perceived as the bad guy? Maybe he's frustrated because of his support from Isaf. Like you're saying, with some of the things, who he also addresses, supposed to be Isafa's management and ama media personnel. But if he is frustrated because of his support from Isafa, maybe it's one of the reasons.
Then why has he never gone at his employer? You see now, why has he never come? I get transparency. Why wasn't he transparent and come out and say, guys, Safa's hurting me here, PSL is hurting me here, I wish Danny Jordan would do this, now his story something. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe, he's not perfect. I'm not defending him, but he's not perfect. There's a lot of things he said, like, for example, the Chiefs stuff. For me, I didn't agree with. We all know which there's no Chiefs players don't deserve to be national team, but he wasn't supposed to come out and say it. But most of the time, I support him because for us to fix our football, we need to tell the truth. This thing of being politically correct sometimes is hurting us. Look at what happened to Banyana. 2023, these girls are in the World Cup. We're talking about bonuses. You understand? We need someone who's gonna be transparent and open. And if he starts, let it be. You know. But yeah, he's not perfect now on his side, but he has done well for us, guys.
Mm.
I mean, I just think we need to support him. We are in the AFCON after what 7 years. So even about Guardiola, you see the way he deals with Cancelo, but Kevin De Bruyne, you see, there's always, as a coach, you're not gonna be 100%.
Well,
So
look,
let's give
guys,
him.
for me, I see a question. Somebody asked me a question here about my stance on Hugo Bruce. I think Hugo Bruce has done a great job. I think Hugo Bruce he's qualified us for AFCON. He should be allowed. My stance on coaches is you should be allowed within the confines of your team to do whatever you want to do, whether you pick this player, you don't play this player, you sign this one, you don't sign this one, you like this one, you don't. It's up to you. Nah?
Yeah.
Go out, go and win. He's winning. I have no problem with that.
100%,
My issue has nothing to do with the performance of Bafana. My issue is that the performance of Bafana is being overshadowed by things that they don't need to be overshadowed by. You get what I mean? I'll give you the example about the Chiefs players. None of the Chiefs players whether the Chiefs players are worthy to be in the national team or not, none of them were chosen, right? None of them were chosen. So now a journalist comes in and baits me, near Chiefs. You tell them, good guys, this is my team. You don't have to say anything about the Chiefs, because now when you've said something about the Chiefs, for 2 weeks, yonke, it's Chiefs. Yeah, Chiefs, Hugo Bruce. Yeah, Jabula Plum, Hugo Bruce. Yes, Banbani, Hugo Bruce. Yeah, what? Instead of, guys, Bafana is going to the AFCON. Bafana qualified out of the group. There's players also, think about it this way. There's players who are playing at Bafana who are doing so well. Now, right?
Yeah.
But Sifokase, Gubo Plum, who may or may not have been in the club, we're focused on Abom Simang, we're focused on all those people. And for me, it comes all the way down to what Hugo Bruce said. I don't think any Chiefs player any Chiefs fan, I don't think Chiefs was making things trend because their players were not chosen. Tina, we were just quiet, we're living our lives, our team is bad. But now, Mount Saba, I'm sitting a corner. And worse still, because we know how much analyst way to.
But look at it this way. If you look at South African football, you know which there are 3 big teams at the moment. And they are big. The other 2 are just big on name, not on performance and trophies. So for you, as a national team coach, to have a stronger national team, you need the other 2. So if you need to call them out, you need to call them out. They need to know which they are not good enough. So
but is that your place as the national team coach? Because the national team coach has to pick the best players. Chiefs is not going to get better in 3 years' time. He's not going to have a job now. It's not going to change Chiefs' transfer policies. Maybe a call to Upobi is better than a call to public. You get what I mean?
Now,
what does it change?
How many times have people called out Upobi?
Okay, let me ask you this.
The pressure needs to be there, guys. You're not good enough, and we need you as a team to help us. So if you are,
so you say that this week, and then next week you pick Chiefs players. How must I look at you now?
I'm now there's a big noise.
But that's what I'm saying. So how do I look at you?
He didn't even play. He called Modi, he didn't even play. That's the thing. But
then how must I look at you as a coach? Because now you flip-flop on your position. Yesterday, Chiefs was not good enough. Now, because people have been speaking, all of a sudden they're good enough. I would have respected him more if he came out the following week and he said, guys, I will double down then. I'm going to double down and I'm going to say to you guys, Chiefs players are not good enough. You get what I mean?
We don't know. We don't know, but this is the point. We don't know what happened in the background, but he was telling the truth. And everyone else knew he was telling the truth. Me and you and the Chiefs fans.
And then he went back on his own truth. He went back on his own truth.
We don't know the influence there.
Exactly.
We don't know that influence.
That's why rather don't say anything.
We don't know what happened in the background.
Exactly what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Guti. I see the background. So when you speak about background things, rather speak about background things in full than to speak about background things in half. then everything goes crazy. Then love background things come back and they haunt you. You get what I mean? Now love background things make you change, and now you look separate. We have not seen a statement from Kaizer Chiefs about this, or from what I've seen. We have not seen it.
Yeah.
But now we are saying that the Chiefs might have had power to do what 1, 2, and 3. They haven't said anything. Who looks like the flip flopper now? It's the coach.
It's the coach. Yeah,
You get what I
true.
mean?
But maybe my issue. Maybe they told him, listen, you might be playing in the stadium and Lama fans and kids are gonna hit you with bottles or something, you know. So
And you
rather
could
call
have
up-
kept quiet and avoided all of that. But if you want to be transparent, be all the way transparent. I get you brought them in. Now deal with the consequences of what you've brought in and stand in your word then if you're going to do that. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
I
say.
hear you.
I'm transparent
I hear
today.
you, you're right,
Ngisabama bottle with Chiefs, ngiyachinja the next
Sure.
day. Guys.
Sure.
Rather
But
ngisithulele.
you agree with me, which is some things need to be said.
No, I
For
didn't
our
say he's
football to be
wrong.
good.
I'm not saying he's wrong, guys. Please get
Yeah.
me wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying that when you say these things, understand what you are going to do. You get me? Understand.
consequences, yeah.
So Chiefs, we all know. That's why I said, I'm not gonna stand here and say Chiefs players needed to be in this national team. There was no way. There was no need. There was nothing. We weren't even speaking about it. I don't remember an episode where we spoke about Ibafana Bafana prior to that, where we were complaining about Chiefs players not getting in. Everybody was fine, right? But now, when you come out and you say that thing, you must understand what you are about to do. And then if you are standing by your words, go out and stand by your words. Don't the next week come and try make me happy. And even besides that, I'm not the most important person. There's clubs involved. So if I'm the national team coach and I'm speaking to clubs about clubs players, rather speak to the clubs about their players. Don't speak to me. You get what I mean? Because Tsepo on TikTok will not make Chiefs better. You get what I mean? Go speak to them and then tell them and at least be transparent with them before you're transparent with me. Don't have it be a situation where next day Uzbanban is coming out and saying, no, but this is actually what the situation was. No, but actually, because as long as Hugo Brice has been here, that's what has been happening. I remember Abozwani and some of the other coaches saying that he's never spoken to me. So I'm surprised when he's out in the media speaking about my team. Nonseki, he was like, he's never spoken to me. But then he's out on national television talking about my players. Now, the other problem is that when you speak about my players, my fans, my people turn on me and they say, I must now deal with something. So now I must choose whether I'm going to attack you or I'm going to be the quiet one. You get what I mean? Now you've put me in a tough situation. Now he comes out later and says, hi, I must go speak. I must go have lunch with my good friend Unseki. Unseki is saying, oh, but you didn't have lunch with me before. You get what I mean? So you can don't be transparent in media, Pela, or don't be out here.
You know what? My last point, this guy reminds me of my grandmother. He's also a pensioner. So, you know, pensioners, they don't have a full stop. They will tell you whatever they want. They don't care. They'll tell you,
guys.
He's 75, ne? He's 75, so he doesn't care about being politically correct. He's just telling you what he thinks. If it hits you bad, it hits you bad. So maybe.
But you can't do that as the national team coach, though.
Yeah,
you can't do that, guys. President can't come out and just say what he feels. Nah, he's got parameters. Guys. For time's sake, let me go to Ukumo. Kumo, can you give me closing statements on this?
Oh, no, man, all I have to say regarding this, closing statements. Now, personally, can't wait for the football, especially we're gonna play against Benin. We should be able to win, and hopefully we're gonna score more than 5 goals. Because Benin is not traditionally a good team or they rank higher than us. So yeah, I mean, the squad, I'm not happy because so let's face it, the only time I'm gonna be happy that the squad is every player from Sundowns, including Serino Lebo, Bomang Bobo, Shalulile. But yeah, it's a well balanced squad with a few exceptions, of course. But yeah, I mean, thanks for the show and cheers to everyone on the panel.
Okay, no, thanks, Kumo. Sinjay, closing statements for today. Oh, Sinjay. Okay, let me go to Tolani. Closing statements for today.
Yebo.
Oh, okay. No, Sinjay's back. Sinjay, closing statements.
My closing statement is this one, Mr. OT, is that I pray and hope that we can have a good working relations between teams and Hugo Boss. And it's funny that it's very funny that we've got a team that is in America that has the same problem with Hugo Boss as some of our local coaches as well. I'm very worried. Obudkuto, if you go to YouTube, St. Louis they have a podcast. Just follow that podcast. Every time they're having interviews, it will give them notification. And also follow Fox News as well. Yeah, they will always post articles on issues of St. Louis as well. And also follow the St. Louis Facebook page as well. You will see all these interviews they are there. I would love to have a Bafana coach that has a good working relations with South Africa as a country and South Africa with PSL and all the relative structures. I think Hugo Boss needs to work on that. He needs to work on that so that we can be behind him fully. So that he can be behind him fully. So that he and teams and players are on the same page. Because sometimes I feel like Hugo Boss he thinks that we are fools. I'll make an example with this Blom issue. Since when is a coach speaks directly with a player? Since when the player speaks directly with the national team coach, whether he's available or not? So, you can't. I would understand if you say who is saying Blom is injured. How can you say the national team says I didn't pick Blom because Blom said that I'm injured? Since when?
Are you still there? Oh, there we go.
So sometimes I think this man thinks that we are idiots here. I want the PSL to end in December. I want them to end in the third week of December because I'm Hugo Boss. I'm on this guy. We must learn to respect working methodologies, operation of the South African Football Association. We need to learn and work according to it. And I hope that one day then he will have our respect because we are going to come for him. And my last statement, I think nobody is afraid that when Awad and Hugo and Jabulo takes a lot of awards, people are going to come him.
Okay. No, okay, my brother. Okay. Let me go to Tolani. Closing statements for today.
Yo, Sinjay, I'm phone Hugo Bros. He heads him with passion. He can't even hide it. Yeah, my brother. Let's go and support the Bafana. Ucoach wethu mfethu uyena basikhethelena, so you have like no choice but to support him. Actually kahle support iBafana Bafana, not him.
Me, I love him. So, me, I love him. The coach. What are the coach on the field? I love him.
Yeah, but most of them like i-performance record yakhe mfethu ingconywana than the previous coaches yabo. So inkinga nje mangase nje bese azi ukuthi uhandlisha kanjani i-media. Awungaba right bese he's a human being, no one is perfect bese asisapho seni bafana inkinga yami nje bewukuthi hey bese ublo mqambamanga bese mqambamanga ngisazoverifya bese i-information yasinje not convinced ublo mqambamanga utawuthi live. So yeah, if let's go behind our boys first. So it's the only black dominated sport in South Africa, so we might as well just go first.
No, I hear you, my brother. I hear you. Yo, what a conversation. Look, guys, I think everybody's tying everything into everything. Hugo Bruce's performance is perfect. He's playing. They've won. They've qualified for AFCON. I'm 100% behind the team. Personally, I just don't like drama because drama takes things away, and there's all types of different things that come from a simple thing. That's why you're media trained. You're media trained so that you're not putting people in different situations. Even if he's right and he's correct and everything is perfect, can you imagine being a player, for example? I play for, and I'll use the Chiefs example, I play for Chiefs. National team coach comes out and says Chiefs is not good enough. Cool, that's great. Fans go crazy. Everybody's going up against Hugo Bruce, blah, 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 whatever, all of that stuff. Then I get a call up. Personally, for me, I'd be sitting down thinking, am I worthy to go play? Or am I only going there to go spend the 3 days with Bafana because he's trying to keep everybody else quiet? You get me? Yes, this team needs to do this. Great, he said it. Now Unteki, for example, already under pressure. It's lit for him already. National team coach says something. Fans are going crazy. Media is now looking at me and asking me questions that have nothing to do with me. Honestly, it has nothing to do with him, that national team thing. I'm caught off guard. Now, in that moment, I have to decide in my own personal life where everything is going wrong. I have to decide how I'm going to handle this thing. Right? So there's all types of different repercussions that are made by talking. Guys, sometimes people don't keep quiet just because they're scared or sometimes it's doing the right thing and saying, guys, me personally, you can feel however you want to feel. But if you have not squared those things with those people personally, and every time you have to go speak, somebody has to come out and say something else and debunk you. Yes, the Sundowns had to come out and say, no, Hugo Bruce can do whatever. Rulani had to speak. Then Zwane had to come out and say this thing when they were. Then Umtek had to come out. Then Blom was asked questions. Simanga was asked questions. Then guys, there's so many repercussions that came from this thing. You can be a truth teller, you can do all that stuff, but then you can't, at the end of the day, tomorrow turn around and do the exact same thing. On top of that, you do the exact same thing. Now you're going to say, I'm going to go have lunches with coaches. That means that your transparency meant nothing in the situation then. That's why I was like, I love coaches that understand the situation, they dance. You're not dancing because you're doing people a favor or you're not telling truth because the truth mustn't be told. You're dancing because there's way too many moving parts in this whole thing. And you saying a thing can change a lot of things for a lot of people out of the blue. Uplamabantu, we have not heard him speak. He has not said a thing. Now, Hussein just talking about the director. This was talking about Hugo Bruce. Now we're comparing him to Upesitau. We're comparing him to this. Now, he hasn't said a thing. What happens in Blom's life now? When he could have danced and dealt with the situation. You get what I mean? That's what I'm saying here. That's why media training is important. That's why you have way too much of an important position. Now, can you imagine the people who don't hear what Sin just said? Whether true or false, you don't hear what that director from St. Louis said, whether true or false. You heard what Hugo Bruce said, whether true or false. Now Blom comes back to the country 2 weeks later to come play. There's all of these different situations. No, Plum when unchena. Yeah, Plum when we answer so. Why Plum? Imagine, I'm just a player. Whether I lied, whether I told the truth, we don't know. I don't even want to make it about truth or lies. It's just about public. And these journalists now, they know, good to know, we can catch him off guard. Hugo. Oh, Hugo, when he's done making the announcement on Soccer Zone, we know that we can put a camera in front of him, put a mic in front of him, ask him a question, and then do you know what's going to happen? I've got my headline tomorrow. Whatever happens to everybody else who's been saying whatever, or whatever fallout comes from that. You get me? You look at umalume kuthi Blom ufile. Yeah, miyeka sifele ekhoneni yakhe guys. Miyeka sifele. iChiefs beyisifele ekhoneni yabo. Nobody was complaining. Guys, I had so many shows here. Nobody was complaining about Bruce not picking Chiefs players. We're in a corner with our bad team, with our team that doesn't win, that's 9 years trophyless. Now you've said something. Stephen West, no, Sundowns. Sundowns was winning everything. Best team in the continent. In their corner. Bruce came out, he was asked a question, Bruce came out and said something, Rulani had to say a statement. And if you remember, that statement was very strong. Hey, that statement was very strong. You get me? Could have just been chilling in his corner. If nothing was said about Blom this week, we wouldn't be speaking about Blom. Now he lies. He could have just been sitting kokone, quietly. No one was forcing him. No one was fighting. No one was saying anything. That's the importance. That's the importance. It wasn't nobody was having a Blom was best of all time or Blom is the worst player. No one. Believe you me, we have not said Blom on this platform forever. But yeah, Coach Wenu came out and spoke, and then it becomes a big deal.